Recording in progress.
Yes, team, good morning and welcome to today's Coffee with Lee, where we're just going to drink coffee and have a chat about life. So, great phrase. It's not about the life you are born with. If you think that, you're addicting. It's not going to get boring, that whatsoever. It's not about the life you are born with. That's better. Need a radiator cover as well. So it's about the life that you build. It's about the opportunities that you take and create, because they're all out there. And I've heard this quite a few times recently. Can I discuss this? Yeah, of course I can. So a person who applied, wanted to work with me, sent a long email. I'm desperate to work with you, Lee. I desperately need your help. Desperately want to come back on board. Yada, 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 yada. Only problem is I've been made redundant. My life's technically over. I can't go on. Borderline heavy suicidal tendencies towards the message, which always makes me not worry. Because that it's not really that. It's just it's a cry for help. It's a cry for attention. And I said, well, come on, let's look for some opportunities for you. I said, there's more money in the world than ever before. There's more opportunities in the world than ever before, mate. There's fucking jobs everywhere. I promise you. No, there's not. No. No, I'm overqualified for all of them. All right, yeah. Overqualified to clean the toilet. Are you, pal? Yep, of course you are. Yep, cool. Overqualified to be a labourer, because I can see a sign out there advertising for labourers. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but fuck off, right? What they're saying is, I'm not willing to do something unless it perfectly aligns with my vision of how it should be. I don't believe there is a single person out there right now that could not go and get some form of work today if they tried hard enough, irrelevant of age, gender, sex, qualifications, and everything in between. So it's not about the life that you're born with, the life that you believe. That comes in, that person has had a knock and they've gone straight into victim mindset, as we discussed, and everything's against them. There's no opportunities, there's no jobs, there's no nothing, life's over, life happens to them, everything's bad and everything in between. When opportunity is everywhere. It is everywhere. And as I've said, it's not about the life that you are born with. It's about the life that you build. So very often, it's not even about, this computer's driving me mad. That's better. It's not even about the skills that you develop sometimes. And again, that builds into it. Well, I'm overqualified. How can you be overqualified for a job? That's just a proper BS comment. I don't really want to do that one. So I'm going to create a reason why I can't do that one. But to build into that before we come out of this. So to me, it's not about the skills or the attributes or the talent or anything in between that you are born with. It's very often about the mindset you develop, the motivation you develop, and everything in between. So if we often keep chasing, and this is like real world example, right? If we keep chasing courses, I was going to do a PhD at one point, by the way, which I'll come on to. I actually started it. If we keep chasing skills, courses, education, qualifications, and everything in between, it's very often we're still putting off doing the actual thing that we need to do to get the thing that we want. There's people that are still lost in doing qualifications and collecting pieces of paper right into their 40s, and they never have any intention of actually putting that into action and doing the thing that they said they do. And it can be either ends. It can be an ego thing. So I wanted to be a doctor because it would have made my dick feel bigger. That's the honest truth. Okay. I wanted to have pieces of paper come through the letterbox that said Dr. Freeman. So I was willing to not only invest a shitload of money, a shitload of time, And a load of research, really, because the only reason was we're back to the house, aren't we? We're back to the Range Rover, and we're back to everything in between. Significance. You will call me Dr. Freeman. Why? Was it because I was obsessed with the research project that I was about to start on? No. Was it because it was going to put another 2 noughts on my salary at the end of the 4 years? No. Probably would have put less on because I'd have been in more debt. All about ego. Okay, all about chasing things. Well, if I'm doing my masters, then I don't really have to focus on the stuff that are probably going to move my life forward in my career further. And it was actually Dr. Rimmer, Paul, who sat me down and he just went, is this going to advance your life any further? Is it going to make you any more money? Is it going to allow you to help more people? And the answer is no. So what if we just learned to do the work? What if we just learned to have this abundance mindset? That's the victim and the warrior. That person has a scarcity mindset. There's no jobs, all rich people are bad, there's not enough opportunity in the world, there's not enough money in the world. Or we can have an abundance. There's more than enough to go around for everyone. I just need to go out and find what I need to do, what I need to give in terms of value to get my slice of that pie. So if we develop this abundance mindset, and this is why there's kids on YouTube that are making multi 7 figures per fucking month. That's £1 million for you, so those of you who don't know. They're not chasing down certificates, they're not chasing down qualifications, they're not chasing down ego, they're not chasing down more skills. They're just like doing something that they're passionate about, and they realize that there's loads out there and they're just going to go and get it at 21 years old. So there is no magic pill when it comes to developing this abundance mindset and moving forward. But for me, it starts with authenticity, which, as I've always said, should be effortless. It's the same as when people say to me, how do I become fearless? You can't, because courage can't exist without fear. Okay, how do I develop courage is a much better phrase, because no one can truly be fearless. Okay, when you're afraid, you're not actually afraid, it's a lack of courage. That's the way I look at it. And when you're not being, so the authenticity thing and why it's effortless, like coaches used to say to me, how can I be more authentic? I'd say, stop being fake. They'd be like, what? Almost like really offended. I'm like, you are you. Like, why are you having to try to be authentic? Just stop being fake. Stop copying other people. Stop putting on a mask to cover over your insecurities and just be you. And when you can truly be you, those kids on YouTube aren't thinking, I'm trying to be like X, or I'm trying to be like Y, or I'm too fucking overqualified for TikTok, or I'm not willing to do this. They're just literally being themselves. They're that young, dumb and full of cum that they haven't even thought about what angle they're going or any of these things. They're just being them. Some of them are just recording themselves playing a game, just being them. And they're attracting everything that they want. And this is why it should be effortless. So a lot of this starts with authenticity. And as I said, following your passion. Because, and it's not easy, because then we adapt to who we think we need to become to either fill our own needs or other people's needs. And we then subconsciously try to be the person that's going to get the job. We subconsciously try to be the person that people will love. Hands up if you've done things to get love and attention in the past. Half my life. Hands up if you've done things, worn clothes, actions, behaviours, done jobs, all things because you thought it would get approval from other people. Right? And what I'm here to tell you today is that you don't need to. Because fear of rejection and the need for approval are probably the 2 biggest blockers to authenticity in the world. Like to the level now, you guys know, where I just do things and then everyone's like, what, how's he planned that? Who did he ask? Who's this gone through? Nobody. Right? Because I don't need approval. That's why I never watch one of these videos back that goes straight on to YouTube. The same with the podcast, because I managed to let go of that care, that need for approval. Because what it does is it makes us believe that we're not enough. And that's what that same person is thinking with a job. I'm not good enough to get a job. There's not enough money in the world. Now, as I've said before, remember, every single one of you was born good enough. Every single one of you need to know that life happens for you, not to you. That you are a warrior and a survivor, not a victim. So if we can get over these insecurities in any area of life, fitness, fat loss, business, relationships, career, anything, if we can get over these insecurities and we can get over this need for approval and we can get over this fear of rejection, being mocked, being judged, being laughed at and failing, and realizing that actually, Lee, nobody really gives a fuck about you or your life. That is your ego again. Then you will really start to be able to, one, accept that you are good enough, and two, go out and chase your dreams without fear. Like, I want to start looking at, I've done some journaling on this as well. I'm not, I can be a lot more serious than you guys see seriously, right? Like really building my own crap in my own head, overthinking everything, stressing, worrying, one end of the bipolar spectrum. 1 minute I'm going to be a multimillionaire, the next minute I'm stressing because I can't pay my bills and I'm going to be bankrupt, somewhere in between, dependent on the mood. So when we can just chill out, I think is the answer. And I heard a great phrase today, just go out and just play the game of life. Like, you know, you don't play Sonic the Hedgehog and you go, I'm going to try and get to level 3 today, but, you know, if I don't, oh my God, what's Janet up the road going to say? And fucking Esther's not going to like me, and fucking Dave over there is going to go and take the piss with all his mates, and I'm going to feel like I'm not good enough. No, it's just like, well, I didn't get to that level today. I'll try again tomorrow. And I think when we can just have this fun engagement towards our dreams, then that's when we'll really start to step up. Like, again, I'm going back to that poor person, and I have got empathy towards them. I am a compassionate person. But rather than, you know, two different directions a mind could go down, right? There's no jobs available. This is over for me. Everyone's bad. I've been made redundant. Da, da, da. Right, this is an opportunity to now go out and define what my passion is. Understand what my passion is. This being made redundant has given me an opportunity to now go and find to do what I truly want to do. And when we start to just enjoy this and be grateful, that's when it will step up. But what I've been working on here to wrap this up is understanding the two centers. So almost everything we do is driven by two centers in the body. Who knows what they are? One is here, one is here. So we have a head center, a thinking center, a logical center. Gentlemen, we tend to use this one much more. And we also have a heart, a feeling, an emotional center. Ladies, you tend to use that one lots more, which is why we crash all the time, and men are from Venus and women are from Mars, or whatever it's called, because men will try and fix everything with logic, whereas women will try and fix everything with emotion. And the truth is, you can't fix an emotional problem with logic. So once we are kind of intellectually aware of this and what we should do, then we can start to apply this and start thinking, okay, what's my heart telling me? What's my head telling me? And if it's two different things, that's very often why we'll not take action. And it's about us understanding and learning to get the heart and the head to align, because that is when the magic happens. That's when the work goes towards the passion, because they're aligning with each other. So as we've said before, I love this phrase. Like, most people, and we're going back to not needing more information. We're going back to Lee not needing a PhD. We're going back to Lee not needing another business mentor to teach him everything that he already knows about sales, lead generation and marketing. Because knowing something and not doing it, like, drop me a yes or put your hand up or comment yes if you're watching on replay. How many examples or times in your life have you known that you should do something but you've not done it? I really know I should do that. I really need to end this relationship, but we'll see how it goes, but later down the line. I really need to get out of this job. I really need to go to the gym. I really need to lose weight. I really need to start tracking on MyFitnessPal. I really need to start working on my mental health. I really need to have that difficult conversation at work with the employee. I really need to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things, right? And yet we don't do it. We don't take the action. And knowing and not doing is basically the same as not knowing. So it's pointless knowing, it's pointless having the information, it's pointless having the coach, it's pointless having all this information if we're not ever doing any implementation. And that is when it is just the action doesn't get taken. Does that make sense? Because we know we should be doing it, logic, but the heart's not aligning, emotions. So we don't do it because we're always going to be driven by emotions. Always. That's why impulsivity is a thing. So when we can just stop focusing on what we're afraid of, because again, that's the biggest blocker to it, then that is when we'll start to take action. But it's when we get the heart to align. And when we can stop focusing on what we don't want and the possible downsides, drawbacks, risks of the situation, and we can really just start focusing on what we do want and why, that is when we'll get the emotional buy-in. And this comes down to the why. I've done so many trainings on find your why and you'll find your way. Okay? Hands down, without Alfie being involved, I would have quit that run 2 weeks ago. Without a shadow of a doubt. And then I saw his little smiling face getting up after chemo and fighting with a big grin on his face without 1 second feeling sorry for himself, moaning, complaining or justifying. Just happy to have some colour building blocks. And I remembered the reason why I was doing it. Can you see how this now makes sense? How my head had started to check out. Too much pain, too much tiredness, too much effect on business, too much risk of injury. And this logic's building up and my head's convincing me of more and more logic as to why I don't need to run 200 miles. And then all of a sudden my heart went, no, that's why you need to do it. This is the emotional reason why you're doing it. And then my heart managed to get my head to buy back in and they aligned together. Is this making sense? And then when they aligned, then we started moving forward again. And a great example is, let's use old Hoochie Boy as an example. So if Jan brings Hooch up to the Lake District next week, by the way, everybody is welcome to come. It's not going to be an intensive one, not next week, the week after, Saturday the 27th of April at 10 a.m. It's going to be a sensational day. If you just want to walk around about 6 to 7 miles, great, that's all you need to do. If you want to walk and dip your feet in the lakes and the rivers and everything, you can. If you want to walk and just go and stand and kind of cold dip and sit in the water in the waterfalls, you can, great. If you're a crazy motherfucker and you want to come and stand on some bridges and some cliffs and jump off into 12-foot deep gorge pools with me, you can also. And I do promise you, I am going up this weekend to do multiple temperature tests and also to dive down in all the areas and make sure that they're absolutely clear of any debris. I'm not going to, and I will jump off as well before anyone else does. But that's another test for people. One of the greatest mindset quotes ever is, when it feels scary to jump in, that's exactly when you need to jump. If not, you're going to stay in the same place your entire life. So anyway, so back to this emotional reason and the why. I have no idea why I started. Hooch, fucking hell. Back to square one. Hooch, emotion, logic. So I'm going to bring up 3 nice big 16-ounce pieces of cooked fillet steak with gravy. I'm not actually bringing that, by the way, Jan. Can I just confirm? And I'm also going to bring up £1 million in cash. And I'm going to put both of those 2 bowls out in front of Hoochie Boy. Which one is he going to go for? Go for the fillet steak every time. He won't even think about it. Because he's thinking with his heart, not his head. This is why animals are so incredible. This is why when because they don't have that. It's to do with the two different parts of the brains, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. But this is why your dog could knock a glass of red wine over on your clean carpet and you call it every fucking name under the sun and tell it you wish that you wasn't alive and everything in between. And 2 minutes later, it's like, hello, I'm back. Give me some love. Because it doesn't think with logic. It doesn't even remember it. Okay? And it's about us aligning those two things. So one of the best ways to do this, to create this leverage, to get the heart to buy into the head goal so we can align and move forward, is we're back here again. Ask better questions. This is the best way to do it. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. And I know a few of you recently as well have been having some confrontations with people. Be it in your relationships, work, kids, and everything in between. Difficult circumstances, right? And every time you want to get drawn into a confrontation, every time oh God, I need to tell this person what I think about them, and everything in between, ask better questions. That's all it is. You can virtually pacify everything by asking a question, and there's nothing more frustrating than a person who wants to fight, you won't allow them to fight, and you just ask them world questions. So in regards to finding this passion, in finding this heart goal, this alignment, I'm going off on a massive tangent here again. A great question to ask is, if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life, what would that be? In terms of career. And I can genuinely hand on heart not say mine would be coaching and helping people. Like, I would do these videos irrelevant of whether I had any clients or not, because I'm passionate about helping people. So that I'm very, very lucky and very, very grateful that in terms of finding them. Another one would be something in the realms of athletics, events, running and that type of things. Now, this isn't even, these three questions now. These are three fucking world-class questions. If I could only do one thing for the rest of my life, what would it be? And going back to Julie, me and Julie went for a run this morning, and she brought this up really well. And she said, on your Overcoming Adversity podcast with Josh, she went, you talk about how it took you 2 years to truly understand what your why was. And I think I say, if you go back and watch it, I think I say that in the first 10 minutes. It took me 2 years to start using my, mother's death as a tool for doing things, not a tool for not doing things, to develop that emotional leverage from it. So you're not going to walk away from this and just go, you're not supposed, I think this is why so many people fail, because they think, what's one thing I could do for the rest of my life? What would it be? I don't know. And that's where the mind stops. Like, we have to go searching inside this head. Go back through old photos. Go back to 4, 5, 6, 7 years. When was I happy? When did I feel fulfilled? When was I passionate? And everything in between. Now, this next question that builds on for it, I bet if someone can truly answer this, at least one person watching this should take action, and it could change your life. If you knew that it was absolutely impossible to fail, what would you do in your life right now that you're not currently doing? What changes would you make? And another great question is, as I just mentioned, I'm ahead of myself. My mind's going too fast. Not like me, is it? If I had a career that I would do for free, what would it be? Those three questions will change your life if you do the deep work on them. If I could only do one thing for the rest of my life, what would it be? If I knew it was impossible to fail, what would I do? What changes would I make? And if I had a career that I would do for free, what would it be? Those three questions will take you down the path of possibility, the path of opportunity, the path of discovery. And you might have to go a long way down that path for 3, 4, 5 weeks, 3, 4, 5 months, until one day it's going to go ping. That's what I was fucking born to do. That's what I was put on this earth to do. That is going to make me fulfilled. I would do that for free. And it's tough, right? And do you know why it's tough? Because most people are afraid to even say what it is. Because they're afraid they will fail. That's it. Most people know what this is deep down. They know deep down in their hearts what they were destined to do, who they want to be, and the life they want to live. But it will always come back to what if it doesn't work out, which comes back to what? The human need. First human need for certainty. Now, it's almost certainly the mindset shift that's keeping you stuck. Now, what I don't want to do, I've said this before, some people have done this and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, Lee, keep your mouth shut. Like, I don't want everyone to like run off and like jack their jobs in today and like end their marriages and move house and plan to go. Like, that's not what it's about. This isn't knee-jerk reaction stuff. It's just about shifting your thinking on a daily basis to start opening up new opportunities. Not just quitting your job, but just exploring what else is out there. You know, be sensible. But start to focus on what you want. Start to focus on aligning the pictures of your life with your heart and your mind and how you want it to look. Not what you're trying to avoid. How do I want my life to look? Not how do I not want my life to look? The classic example, isn't it? And until we get clear on this, we'll really never move forward. It's back to the Uber driver. Hi Lee, where do you want to go? Don't know, mate, but not here. Not here and not today. Well, the Uber driver can't help because you need to let him know where you want to go. And then he can help you. And your mind's the same. If you're not telling your mind what it is you want and where you want to go on a daily basis, guess what? It's always going to find pictures of where it doesn't want to go and what's not working for it. So how do we, how do we responsibly take steps towards this without just jacking in our jobs and ending our relationships and jumping out of airplanes? So I think it's by opening up to a huge level of exploration, focusing on what you want relentlessly, and learning to have an alarm clock that blocks these thoughts about, you know, every time your mind goes to, I don't want to be here, like, I don't want to live this way, like, I don't want this job, I don't want to be in this relationship, I don't want to be around this person, like an alarm clock going off that then says, change your thinking. Well, who do I want to be around? What job do I want? What body do I want? How do I want these things to look? And we can block it because, trust me, if there's one thing in life that will, like, that you're complaining, blaming, moaning and justifying about your current circumstances, is without a shadow of a doubt the glue that keeps you stuck to them. And I'm talking that is Loctite. Because it's in your thoughts all the time, moaning about this, moaning about that, blaming this person, justifying this. Anything you can find to prevent yourself taking action. And that's what people do. And it's the glue that keeps them stuck to it. And what we need to understand is that our outer world and our pictures and our actions and our experiences and everything we do will always follow our inner world. So if our inner world is saying there's no opportunity, I can't get any jobs, I'm overqualified, guess what the outer world's going to follow? It's going to create pictures of scarcity. And this was massive for me, and I realized this as well. Like, in many relationships, I'm talking sexual relationships, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and everything in between. So I think we see ourselves as a C, don't we? Not the CU word that people are thinking about. And what we're looking for is we're looking for the D. So we can, this other half that brings us together, it's like, what's the film with Tom Cruise in it? You Complete Me. Jerry Maguire. Is that Jerry Maguire? I don't know, you're all looking at me gone out. But yeah, I think that's, so they talk about, you know, completing. Now, what happens with this is the worst possible start to any relationship, because that's called codependency. I don't want to be with someone that I can't live without, full stop. Because I don't ever want to be in that situation. Like, I want to be with someone that improves and upscales and makes my life happier and more fulfilling, but I also want to be happy on my own. I don't want to be dependent on that. This is where so many people live. They're dependent on somebody else to make them happy. And then we're back to that whole things of the needs change. Well, that's based on needs. You need them to make you happy, and you make you happy. And then when their needs or your needs change, all of a sudden things aren't going to align. So, you know, when we can very much focus on being the full circle ourselves, and then finding someone else who's a full circle, that's when the magic happens. That's when it's love and connection. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. So, you know, when we're not looking for someone else to bring the magic into our lives because we're bringing it ourselves, how good does that sound? Okay. And, you know, going back into these angles of talking about these, because these are important. Like, I don't believe whether it's like work, friendships, sexual, business, everything in between. Like, I also believe very much the quality of our life will come down to the quality of our relationships. You can't do it all on your own. So we have to be able to have good relationships with our kids, you know, our families, our friends, our colleagues, and everything in between. But we also need to understand that it's a relationship. It's not a business. So if you're coming into my business, right, I need to know what you're fucking bringing to the table. I need to know your experience. I need to know your qualifications. I need to know your results. I need to know your testimonials. And then I'm going to seek out at least 5 people who you've worked with before, and I'm going to ask them lots of questions. Craig, you're welcome. Have a great day. Because this is what we do in business. This is what we do in employment. What is money? It's an exchange of value. So in a business, we're looking at how much value is this person bringing that then I'm going to exchange my money for. That's a transaction. That's not love. But relationships aren't a business. In relationships, we need compassion, compatibility, passion, chemistry, spark, not needing each other. Because, you know, this is where I think, again, a lot of people really struggle in middle age. A huge tangent here. But they look for someone because they feel that something's missing in their life. So rather than looking to fill that cup up themselves, they look for someone else to do it. And then the other person will do it for a bit. And when they don't, and that person no longer meets their need, that's when it all starts to go wrong. But it will never, ever work. Because this was a great phrase I wrote down. You cannot love you cannot, switch my iPad off. You cannot love authentically that which you need. How powerful is that? You cannot love authentically that which you need. So love is just unconditional and authentic. It's not a need. Because if it is based on a need, it will be conditional at best. And then we're going back to the training, which I want you guys to recap on, which is developing self-love. Because, you know, the key is to focus on loving yourself that much that you don't need anybody else to be happy. That's when you're truly free. When you're that focused on you. I did this on a therapy session with a guy yesterday, and he was very much, I'm lonely, all my friends are coupled up, the ones that aren't coupled up, they still go out and get off their head every weekend. I'm really unhappy. I just really want to find someone to be with. I really want to find someone to love. I'm like, he was actually called Craig as well. I went, Craig, no, just stop. Stop. I went, you are going to find the worst fucking girlfriend in the world. Trust me. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, think about what you're giving out. Lonely, needy, need someone, lost, voids, unhappy life, searching. That's like, I went, and like I said, and as well, you're giving out some very other negative emotions about other things in your life. I went, think about the person you're going to attract. Think about when you're just Craig, who becomes on fire, smashing his business, smashing the gym, doing loads of running, charity work, winning at life, mental health stuff, helping other people, growing, contributing. Who do you then think you're going to attract into your life? Someone else who's the same. But whichever one you are, you need to get it right first. Because if you're... What on earth happened there?
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
What happened there? Who's muted everyone? Unmute. Right, we're back. Did that cut off for all you guys as well? Pin it. Right, well, I don't know what happened there. It's like everything just shorted out and it went off, but you're all back anyway. So yeah, as I was saying, it's about us focusing on ourselves. It's recording, so isn't it? Yeah. And this is why, whether it's in these types of relationships, based again on these human needs and why we do what we do and why we feel the way we do, it will never work based on you needing someone else to feel happy. It's your responsibility to feel happy first, because as I've said, just like over time with fitness and fat loss, things change. There is no maintenance point, right? We can't do something for a certain time, get somewhere and then just stay there. Why? Because time moves on. Well, just like time moves on, so do people's needs change. So if I'm with another human, based on my needs at the time, I'm lonely and they're available and they're filling that need for me. Well, then all of a sudden when I get happy and I'm motivated and I'm driven and I want to go out and do stuff and I'm not so lonely anymore, well, they're no longer going to fulfill the needs because they were only a loneliness need in the start with. Does that make sense? And the danger of this is with the certainty thing, and this is a lot more ladies I've found over time, that people will often stay in a relationship even when their needs aren't being met. Their needs that once were met, and their needs are no longer being met because it's actually meeting one need, which is their need for certainty and not being lonely, which is what I was talking about for that guy. I went, this is why you stayed in your last relationship for too long, because you would rather stay in an unhappy, toxic relationship that's not fulfilling your needs and is making you unhappy every day because it fills your need for safety and certainty, rather than risk losing that certainty and go for fulfillment and happiness with the risk of being lonely, which is where we've gone back to. So, this even happens in people will even choose, abuse, to stay with abuse because it still has some form of stability. So stability, abuse and unhappiness versus instability and risk of being alone. Uncertain and certain, we're back at these two needs. So again, something that I wrote down here is, again, how do we break out of this? And I think these are some phrases that everybody says that we need to change. I think, hands up if you've kind of felt like your whole life's mapped out in front of you. Like you've kind of just, you've got what you've been given. Like the people say this, don't they? It will, it will be, what will be, will be. Well, no. What will be, will be. No, what will be, will what I make it. But I think when people, one way we can get over this uncertainty thing is to stop believing that life is all planned out for us. Because then essentially, even if it's reasonably positive, well, we're still in the victim mindset because we're still saying that life just happens to me. It's all planned out. I can't change it. And I think two examples that we can work on. I don't know if Luke's still here, is he? No, he'll have opened the shop. Two real world examples is we have to stay with the job or the relationship. Am I choosing to stay in this relationship because I'm truly fulfilled, or am I choosing to stay in this relationship because I don't want to be alone? If it's the latter, you just opened up why you're unhappy. Same question. Am I choosing to stay in this career because I'm happy and passionate? Or am I choosing to stay in it because I'm afraid I might not be able to pay my bills? Am I choosing to stay this way and keep eating crap and not going to the gym because at least that's easy, safe and certain? Or am I choosing to not do it because I'm afraid I might fail if I do? They're all the same things. So, you know, again, when Luke started Paws and Claws. So the amount of people that will choose to stay where they are and not risk starting their own company and even continuing to do a job that they hate because they're just afraid it might go wrong, because they're afraid of risk, because they're afraid of uncertainty, is crazy. But everyone who takes the leap, I've never met a person who's taken the leap and regretted it. That's crazy. I've never met anyone who's ended up going back to the dead-end job. I've never met anyone who's found the fucking kahunas to leave the toxic relationship and then after 6 months gone, oh, actually, no, that loneliness was worse. I'm going to go back to being spoken to like shit 24 hours a day. It doesn't happen. It's just finding the balls to take the action, whether it's relationships, health, business, fitness, fat loss, or everything in between. But we have to follow this inner world. But if you have at times developed a bit of a victim's way of looking at life where you're like, you know, this is never going to work out. I'm worried, I'm stressed, I'm anxious. I don't believe any of this is really going to happen for me. You know, it is what it is. Then you will attract more and more of those circumstances and more of those people in life, in business, in relationships. That's why all victims hang together. That's why all warriors hang together, because they gravitate towards the energy that they're given out. This is why even in masterminds, right? High level business masterminds, there's fucking groups within them that just moan, bitch, whine, complain, justify, slag the fucking coach off, and they're not sure about the plan, and they just gravitate towards each other in their neggy fucking pity party over there on the left. And then you get the other people within the groups, even groups like this one to a limit, where, you know, they do the work, they show up, they support each other, they contribute, they grow, and look at how they gravitate towards each other. And then all of a sudden they know each other's names and then they're a group. But again, it's down to whatever you are giving out. And I think sometimes this is another great one from my affirmations, which I have to write down. I think sometimes if you can have a mindset to just go for it and that whatever happens, you know, you'll be all right. That is a life-changing mindset. And I think I've never really told you the stories about everything that happened with the club. There was a lot of stuff that went on, right? The club in Leeds, there were several directors, several owners, and when I first moved to Sheffield, we'd done a deal with a brewery, going back when you actually had pints pulled on bars in clubs. And I think, I can't remember the exact numbers, it was a lot of money, multiple six figures, 360 grand, I think, that was invested by the brewery to basically refurb the club. And then they used to do a deal which was called barrel back. So basically you paid so much extra per barrel for 2 or 3 years on all your stock that you had to get from this one place in order for them to loan you the money to refurb the club. Anyway, I'd negotiated all of this. And then one of the other directors, who was a solicitor, we were due to start work at the club on the Monday and I went down to the club and I put my key in the door and the locks had changed. And I never spoke to them other two directors ever again, apart from through a solicitor. And I remember thinking, oh God, this is it. This is fucking the end of the world. What am I going to do here? And I rang one of my mates who was a DJ. And I've just realised he actually said exactly that. He went, you'll be all right, Lee. You always are. Something always comes up. You always find something. 3 days later, I was running events in Sheffield. I was already doing Love to Be. Those in Sheffield will know, a club called Dot Zero, which then became the Room of Clog. And went straight over and moved to Sheffield and started running Love to Be at Dot Zero. They then built Poundland, turned it into Plug, and that became my role for the next 9 years. Within 3 days. But again, it's, you know, thinking back now, he was just a normal guy, right? He wasn't like a mindset coach or anything. He just went, you'll be all right. You always are. Something will always come up. And I think if you can start to realise that with every single thing that you're looking at, you know, whatever you put your time and effort into, whatever changes you decide to make, whether the outcome's what you hoped it would be or not, then you'll always be okay. And whatever challenge and adversity happens and whatever setbacks you face, you will always grow through it because there will always be a lesson and a gift, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a clear career, whether it's fitness, and whether it's fat loss. And you know, this is I've spoken about when Susie Ashworth coached me on this so many times. When we can just start to be grateful in advance, I'm excited for the challenge. Imagine being like, I'm excited for things to go wrong because I know that's how I learn. I'm excited for tough situations because that's how I get stronger. I'm excited for challenge because that is what will help me grow into the person that I've been to be. In fact, I'm excited and can say thank you for everything that's been and everything that's coming, because I will always learn and grow through it. And then I can only focus on what I can control. And then when you're that person who's just on it all the time, like, you know, like things just bounce off you. Again, it's then we're back to kind of the relationships, whether it's business and personal and how they all tie in. Then think about the person that you're going to attract, the people that are going to come into your life. But it's your self-talk that will empower you to go out and create every single circumstances that you have ever desired. If you can just start to talk to yourself in a different way, if you can just start to paint different pictures, if you can just start to realize that whatever happens, so be it, it happened, you will move forward and grow through it. And it's not different for other people as well. You know, when you can start to say, I didn't come up smelling of roses, I planted the fucking roses. You know, it didn't happen by chance. I didn't go through that disaster and then come up smelling of roses. I went through that disaster and I planted the roses. And again, this will come from getting rid of this need for approval and just going for it. And I want every one of you to accept that, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your business, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your fat loss, your challenges and everything in between, as I've said a million times, just accept you are good enough as you are. You don't need approval. You don't need significance. You don't need to worry about how anyone else is going to feel, act or behave if your actions don't pan out the way you want to. So just go out and play the game of life with a big smile on your face, irrelevant of the outcomes. Just do what you're passionate about. Do what floats your boat. Do what makes you happy. And don't care about what anybody else thinks, because it really doesn't matter. You know, and again, if you are struggling right now, just go back again to doing what you are doing when it has worked. What was I doing? I do this all the time. What was it? I was I was smashing it then. What have I stopped doing? I'd stopped doing my mindset work every morning before anything else. I've started spending 3 hours on Instagram every day. And, you know, we have to understand again over time, right? The circumstances of our life are the result of our thinkings and actions over the past 12 weeks to 12 months to 12 years, not 12 hours. You know, we didn't get depressed, fat, lost and lonely in 12 weeks, so we can't expect to look like a supermodel, be super happy and run our own business and everything else be perfect within 12 weeks. You know, there's a delay on this. We have to keep consistently doing the work, and then we have to understand that we can have to do it all the time. We're not going to read one mindset book and then just be fixed. But when we can, again, shift this focus to what we're passionate about and away from what we don't have and what we don't want to what we do have and what we are grateful for, then we'll really start to move forward. You know, how many people, like every single person said when we did Mindset Mastery, and again, answer me honestly in the comments, either on the YouTube channel on replay or, you know, in the box now. How many people are still genuinely doing gratitude every morning? Not me. I'll put my hands up, not me. Jan is, probably why she's smashing it. Not every morning I don't do it, I forget, and then I might get up tired and I have a bit of a shitty day. And that's why we need the reminders. But, you know, how many of you honestly do it for a bit and then all of a sudden, 6 weeks down the line, you've stopped doing it and we're back moaning, blaming, justifying and complaining? It's so common that all the things we are doing are right. This is what I came going back to what I said at the beginning. You know, we don't need more information, more qualification. We've got the tools we need. We're just not implementing them to the level we should be. We're just not implementing them with focus every single day. We're doing it for a bit, we're getting a bit of a payoff, and then we forget, and then we go back to square one. And this is why, you know, this is why we need to develop empowered positivity, because that will lead to the mind taking to action. Because again, we're focused on what we do want, not what we don't want. But whether it's that or gratitude, we have to remind ourselves every day. Because we need to cultivate the habit of focusing every single day on what we do want. We need to cultivate the habit of being grateful for what we do have every single day. Because when we can focus these habits of only focusing on what we want and what we do have, that will then lead us to be able to cultivate that feeling that we already have enough to get it. We already have the tools that we need. We already know where we're going. How much easier does it sound all of a sudden? We've got a direction, we've got a plan. We know what we want, we know how to get it. And then we can keep developing that plan. And now, because we know what we want, we know we're passionate about it, we're focused on it, we're grateful, we're driven, we're motivated, we're positive, and we have the plan, all we need to now add is the discipline to be disciplined enough to do the work to get it. Guys, I love you all. I hope that's been a helpful training today. I will do the rest on Monday. It's not even halfway through those notes. And we'll drill down on this final section of how can I make my dreams a reality? How can I make my goals a reality? Guys, I love you all. Have a great day.